Hi, I'm Pat Kiernan. Glad you could be with us for today's edition of Pat's Papers. We go through the nation's newspapers to bring you the highlights. Here's our top story today. The Pensacola News-Journal has details on the arrest in Florida of the Indiana businessman now suspected of trying to fake his death to get away from his legal and financial troubles. There's really no particular New York City connection on this, but the New York Post plays this story up big as well. Drawn to the story in part because of the glam photos taken of Marcus Schrenker and his wife in better days. Police believed he jumped out of his plane, allowing it to crash. Then he tried to get away by picking up a motorcycle he had previously stashed in a self-storage garage. Plenty in the papers today on Hillary Clinton's confirmation hearing for Secretary of State. The New York Times says she appears headed for swift approval. Coverage in the LA Times includes her statement that America needs more partners and fewer adversaries. The story notes that she really seems to know about these issues. The Times says she spoke easily about a range of problems worldwide. So much news out of Washington these days. The front page of the Washington Post has stories about torture at Guantanamo Bay, the Hillary Clinton hearing, the tax troubles for Tim Geithner as he's reviewed for his cabinet post, and then there is the Obama plan to rework the remaining money in the fall financial bailout package. Barack Obama has been quite clear with the Democratic senators that he expects their cooperation in releasing the $350 billion remaining in the bailout. The Post story says he would prefer to avoid making a politically awkward veto against Democrats, one of his first official acts. The latest place where the worlds of medicine and beauty meet is the eyelash. The New York Times examines the new drug Latisse. It's a drug that was intended to be used to reduce pressure in the eyeball, but has been found to encourage the growth of longer, lusher lashes, and that's now a permissible use for the drug. It will be on the market by the end of the month. Expect to pay about $120 for a one-month treatment of this eyelash drug. The Boston Herald reports on a child born in England 2 days after her mother was declared brain dead. Jane Solomon was placed on life support, so baby Aya Jane could be delivered by cesarean section 2 days later. Doctors could have done the C-section sooner, but they wanted to wait for a steroid injection to take hold to help the baby's lungs develop. The Miami Herald leading today with a story about the top Israeli negotiator, Amos Gilad, going to Cairo on Thursday for what's described as decisive talks with Hamas. The Philadelphia Inquirer on this topic says as the parties stumble toward talks, the Israeli troops, backed by tanks, were thrusting deeper into Gaza City. Palestinian medical officials reported at least 42 deaths yesterday. He had become a familiar fixture in Chicago. The story has a nice ending. A laid-off executive who took to standing on a downtown street corner last fall looking for a job, found one. He is now helping others to find work. The Chicago Sun-Times says Ricky Sean Cease has landed at an executive search firm. While we're in Chicago, there's a big change coming at the Tribune. This is what the paper looks like now, the longtime broadsheet format. The Tribune says it's going to produce 2 papers every day now. The wide paper will be offered to home delivery subscribers. The same paper will be reformatted to tabloid style for newsstands. Tribune believes this decision to produce the same package of stories in 2 distinct print formats is unprecedented in the U.S. newspaper business. I want to air a complaint now to AT&T. As covered in the New York Times this morning on page B3, AT&T sent a text message around to its cell phone subscribers encouraging people to watch American Idol. AT&T is one of the sponsors of American Idol. They called it a reminder to subscribers. I called it spam. AT&T, as quoted here in the Times, wouldn't say exactly how many people got this message. It would only say that it was a significant number of its 75 million subscribers, some of them not too happy about it. In the New York Post, TV critic Linda Stacy reacts to the addition of Judge number 4 on this season of American Idol. Stacy didn't think the series needed a 4th judge. She says Caro Diagardi is filling a 4th chair that wasn't even empty. Weather's a big story in many parts of the country. In Syracuse, New York, it is cold this week, although the bigger story there, as reported in the Post-Standard, is the snowfall, already on track to be the 3rd heaviest snowfall year in history there. Farther west, it is snow on the ground that's one problem, but extreme cold is the bigger problem. The Green Bay Press Gazette has found front-page photos of trucks in the ditch and a man bundled up without even an inch of exposed skin as he worked to clear snow. There's a wacky photo on page 2 of the New York Daily News. California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger wanted to make a point to some of his legislative colleagues about budget cuts, so the To illustrate that plan to slash the budget, he brought in a prop that few others would have access to, the sword that Schwarzenegger used on screen in Conan the Barbarian. We finished with 2 animal stories. Neighbors are not getting along. At the Academy of Sciences in San Francisco, the Chronicle says Claude the albino alligator has a swollen toe on his right foot after his roommate Bonnie bit him while they wrestled for a spot on their favorite rock. And from the Chicago Sun-Times, an interview with a dog breeder who suggests now might not be the best time for the future first family to be getting a dog. Nigel Clark says maybe the Obama should settle in for 6 months and then look for a pet, as the family plans to welcome a pet to the White House, but Clark says that they ought to settle in themselves before they make a decision on the kind of pet that they want to bring in. And that's our look at what's in the headlines today. We do this every day at patspapers.com. You will find this video report, and you'll find links to all of the stories mentioned in today's report so you can read the stories for yourself.